brain, let's start there.
Yes.
And before we get to the love part.
Yeah.
When you think about the word brain, what comes to mind?
I think it's your mind, right? The ability to understand that if we want to become the better version of ourselves, it's not about the physical things that we have going on. It's about the mental side of things. Because at the end of the day is that, as we grow and as we evolve, like our mindset has to continue to grow and evolve. And I think that we're taught, that we just focus on getting to the bag, getting to the money, be strong, especially as Black men. It's not talking about like your mental capacity or your emotional capacity. You know what I mean? For me, it's like I've kind of always been impressed, especially my mother always taught me that my emotion are my powers, right? I've always been a very sensitive, emotional person growing up. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's always been very, very important to understand that, if we want to be good people, good husbands, good friends, that we have to continue to evolve our mind and understand more about people in general.
Just Heal with Dr. J is going to be a space where we foster healing conversations, conversations that are life enriching, conversations that are going to provoke thought, that's going to provoke change, and also provide insight. And so that's what I'm excited about.
I'm Dr. J. Barnett, and welcome back to another episode of Just Heal with Dr. J. I'm excited about the guest that we have today, a good friend of mine and a growing brother, because I met him a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I just have to, this shameless plug, I am wearing his clothing line. And I mean, it's so dope. This feels good on my skin, great material. I love the color. I think orange look good on us brown skinned brothers.
Dark skin.
And so I want to welcome to the healing community my good brother Archie Clay III, who is the founder of Brain Love clothing line in Bloomingdale's. I'm going to let you talk about all of the good stuff that you're doing, and
Sure.
then we're going to get into how did you get to creating Brain Love, and then what is mental health to you and all that stuff, man. So welcome, man, to the healing community.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Pleasure as always, man.
So, man, Brain Love, how did it come about?
Do struggle. I had a company called Wear Brims, which we started in 2016. Had a business partner. Did amazing things. We was in Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks, scale it to a 7-figure business. At the pinnacle of the business, we broke apart. And that was a tremendous time period for me where I felt lonely, depressed, and not really knowing what was next for me. Had to take a step back to really understand what my journey was. And I think from there, God kind of positioned me to say, hey, there's something bigger for you. And Brain Love is a space for you to really show people the importance of why your evolution is important to connecting it back to your mindset. So for me, it was all about making sure that people understood that it's okay to have struggle. It's okay to want more in your life. And it's okay to understand that your mental health is important. But it's also okay to be flawed at the same time. You know what I mean? Those things can be together at one.
Right. So what I'm hearing is you didn't want to take away who you are at your core, which is creativity, fashion, and all those things. And so now here's the thing about this podcast. You already know you can't give us no surface answers. You can't be vague, brother. So we gonna go in. Brain. Let's start there.
Yes.
And before we get to the love part.
Yeah.
When you think about the word brain, what comes to mind?
I think it's your mind, right? The ability to understand that if we want to become the better version of ourselves, it's not about the physical things that we have going on. It's about the mental side of things. Because at the end of the day is that, as we grow and as we evolve, like our mindset has to continue to grow and evolve. And I think that we're taught, that we just focus on getting to the bag, getting to the money, be strong, especially as Black men. It's not talking about like your mental capacity or your emotional capacity. You know what I mean? For me, it's like I've kind of always been impressed, especially my mother always taught me that my emotion are my powers, right? I've always been a very sensitive, emotional person growing up. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's always been very, very important to understand that, we want to be good people, good husbands, good friends, that we have to continue to evolve our mind and understand more about people in general and their emotions and your own emotions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So when you talk about, being emotional and sensitive as a young kid, what was that like for you? Because I'm sure growing up in the Black community, understanding your emotions, but also understanding your level of sensitivity.
Right.
And I like to associate that with your ability to feel.
Right.
Which I don't think a lot of brothers know how to do.
Right.
Because the way we are socialized, that part of us is turned off.
Right.
And I don't think it's turned off intentionally from us. It's turned off environmental.
Right.
Because if you're told, don't cry, shut up, suck it up, boy, I wish you would cry.
Right. For sure. For sure.
Not only am I programming you to not feel, I'm also programming you to not get in touch with what is actually going on inside of you.
Right.
Because there's a difference between the emotion and the feeling, right? The feeling is what is happening. The emotion is what it is. So, and I just wanted to really expound on that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wanted to expound on that for the viewers, but for you as a young Black boy, because I'm going to share my experience on what it was like to feel as a young Black boy. What was it like?
So mine's is a little different. So I grew up single home until I was 8. Moved to Mississippi. Tupelo, Mississippi.
Tupelo, you
Yeah.
Tupelo?
Tupelo,
Okay.
Mississippi.
Tupelo, Elvis. Stop right.
Yeah. So my story, so my mom was very aligned to my emotions because my dad had mental issues when I was young. My dad walked down on me, my mom, when I was 2.
Do you know what the actual mental issue was?
No. We're still unraveling that right now as we speak. So for me, my mom has always kind of been focused on me having emotional intelligence and being okay with my being sensitive, being okay crying. So like, and also it's homeschool. So my perspective is a little different than your common Black boy. Where that wasn't my household. It wasn't be quiet or cry. Only time mama told me not to start crying was when I'm doing homework and I'm crying in my book and I'm not getting my answers right. That's the only time. But other than that, I was open to be emotional and open to feel and be feeling, because that was part of my mom, how she taught me. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of goes back to how I'm raised now. Is that I'm always crying. My wife knows, like, you be crying all the time. That's just kind of how I've been raised. Like, I cry when I'm mad. I cry when I'm emotional. I cry when good things are happening. I was raised to have that perspective. You know what I mean? So I never felt, I guess, uncomfortable crying in a situation, or even if I was crying in school or something. When I eventually went back to school, when I was in 8th grade, after being homeschooled for about like 6-7 years.
Wow. Now, how was it with the first time? Because I know as you're dating before you got married, the first time that I'm sure your girlfriend, fiance, she go through all those stages. Now, the first time she saw you cry, what was her response?
The first time she saw me cry was when I was going through the period of losing jobs. And this is the pinnacle of me building my first company. And I remember, also I remember we talked about this in the past, is like there was a period where I was uncertain because I didn't feel like I deserved to have a relationship because my financial and my job situation wasn't right. So I'm challenging myself, like, you don't need to be with this good girl like this, and you don't have your own stuff together. So why are you even entertaining this situation? And I remember having a job, driving, getting fired, coming back to the house and crying and telling her, like, this is just happening over and over again. I remember her saying, like, maybe you should go full time into your business. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, this is probably my wife.
Wow. What did that do to you? Because that's often not the case.
No, for sure.
In 2025.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Definitely, if you come back home and say you lost your job, it's like, so you mean no more Ruth Frizz, no more State 48. You know what I mean? We can't go to Lennox. You know, what did that do to you as a man for the woman that you're dating to not only see what you were trying to build, but also to speak into who she saw you to be? Because for her to tell you, you need to go full-time into entrepreneurship, that tells me she had to see something in you that you had yet to see.
So my wife always say that I'm very consistent. That's how I got her. Because I was always in the DMs.
So you guys met through
DMs.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that crosses over to like how I do business too. I'm very persistent and very consistent. You know what I mean? So for me, me hearing that honestly just it poured confidence, additional confidence into who I was, and really helped me really align back into it and not allow that short term failure to come over me and keep me from where God was supposed to push me in the jump. You know what I mean? So for me, it pushed me hard, and that's why the business became where it is, where it went to, because of me being able to be comfortable and do what I needed to do.
So, is that how you got the love?
Yeah, 'cause I feel like love to me is just.
Once we pause for a second, notice how I started out the brain
You
first,
did, yeah, you did.
and now you see
Yeah,
how that
love.
transition.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a therapist in me, really. But I wanted to show the people how this intersect to how you
No,
got
for
there.
sure. No,
You know what I
definitely,
mean?
definitely. But I think the love is just life. Like, I think we have to be happy with oneself and be happy with yourself first, and loving yourself first, and then loving the people around you. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's always been a pinnacle of who I am as a person, of just always loving the people around me and loving your community, like loving. And I got that from my mom. Like, I feel like the love factor, cause my mom loves very hard and I love very hard. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that's just a part of who I am as a person, and really pushing it into what we're building as a business, but also getting people to understand it's not just about the business side. It's about, we want you to truly feel that essence when you lock eyes on a brand, or you put clothes on of the brand, or whatever that looks like. Like, you feel that energy of who we are as a brand, the company.
You know, brother, I think this is so beautiful, because as I'm listening to you, I'm reflecting on when we met,
Right.
and you were speaking about your clothing brand, and you were speaking about the message behind it, and I love what your brand represent, and I look at it from this perspective of not only feeding the brain, but also loving the brain.
Right.
And because the way you feed the brain is what you read,
Uh-huh.
it's what you hear. But the way you love the brain is the way you treat yourself and how you see yourself.
Right.
And I think, when you think about brain love, how can we better love our brains? Because if we love our brain better, we'll love each other better.
Right. And we talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this in great length, man. Now, somebody's watching, because we often hear people say, love yourself.
Right.
How have you done that as a Black man who's an entrepreneur, recently married, newlywed?
Uh-huh.
How did you love yourself before you got to the husband, to the business side? And I know that you said mom was loving and she loved hard, but what was your journey like?
I mean, to your point, I think the confidence that I received as a younger boy, and as I continue to grow and graduating, going to HBCU, get in that culture, that amplified me to love myself even more. So I think for me, it wasn't just me. I think it's my community too, and the things that are around me that allow me to constantly love myself over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Going to HBCU, Pleasure Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, having the best friends in the world, like having these strong communities and knowing that you have so much worth to give to the world. You know what I mean? And that connects back to my own lifestyle of who I was when as a younger boy. Like, this constant constant, like, just focusing on what I've always been taught. You know what I mean? So it's like loving myself has always been. I've never had an issue not loving myself. You know what I mean? Because of
Beautiful, man.
the community and people around me, just the constant. Because I've always been connected to people, and I feel like I feed off of just energy and people around me. You know what I mean? So that's always something that's always been aligned to the love factor of who I am as a person.
And I'm going to tell you why that's profound. Because until you've been loved well, you can't love. You were loved well, and you were loved in a way that you never had to question Archie. In fact, Archie was able to discover answers more so than to show up with the world with the questioning. Because when we don't have love and we don't have an environment that is loving, it's hard for us to really identify not just purpose, but to identify who you are at your core.
Right.
And that's a challenge for so many brothers, unfortunately, because we don't get to pick our parents. And kudos to your mother, man, for loving you, brother, in such a way that you didn't have this journey of like, man, I don't love myself. Like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm just, matter of fact, I'm not showing up in the world. I'm just existing.
Right.
And I think, man, that is so beautiful and a testament to your mom environment, but her awareness, because you said your father had mental health issues. And when she noticed that, she was able to identify the way that she needed to pour into you.
Right.
Do you feel that mom pouring into you was also to prevent you to not end up like that?
So for sure, definitely, like we kind of packed that open since I've been in therapy, because I've been revisiting the conversation with my father, with my therapist just recently. And because I've struggled with it over years, especially when my grandmother passed away, I really struggled with like my identity connected to my dad. You know what I mean? Because my mom, that's always been there. You know what I mean? But I've always struggled with the thought process of my mom, because my mom protected me, but also protected my dad too, because she will always speak very highly of him. And as I got older, I started questioning, if he's speaking very highly of him, what's happening, because he's not here. You know what I mean? So I think at times that kind of hurt, because of just hearing all these amazing things about my father, but I'm not getting that same energy back. You know what I mean? But also not really understanding the whole mental aspect as well. Like, I'm hearing that he has mental health issues, but then there's situations that happen as I'm getting older that doesn't really align. But then I'm hearing it again. You know what I mean? So I think for me, it's just like constantly remembering that you kind of have to just give people grace, and I have given my father grace. And I've also given my mother grace as well. You know what I mean? So just understanding that it's okay.
When you think about your father today, in this present time, what are your thoughts about him and just knowing?
It's crazy you ask that, because my therapist, we just talked about, 'cause I told her that, because so my therapist basically told me that I had to basically talk to my parents, my mom and my aunties, to kind of really understand what truly happened from a mental health perspective, and figured that out. Had another conversation with my father, and we kind of really had a conversation for the first time ever, a real conversation. Realized that we love the same things, we love martial arts, so on and so forth. So very, very happy in that moment. And in the conversation, my dad was like, "Hey, like, send me photos, so I can just see her when you got married, see your bachelor party and things of that nature, so I can be hyper. And also send me an address so I can send you something." Um, when I did that, he never responded back. So I was a little hurt, because I was excited about continuing to push the standard further, but I also was okay, because I realized that I think this is where it's going to be. And I
Mm.
told my therapist, is like, I'm okay with that now. Like, I think I finally found space and understanding that this is just how my relationship with my father is going to be. And it's okay. So to answer your question, is that I'm okay with it, because I remember at me and my wife's wedding, I was crying when I saw my dad. I wasn't crying of happiness. I was just crying. I was just crying because he could have been there or not, and I would have been okay.
Mm. And I'm holding that space of pause to let somebody who's watching this really feel the gravity of that response, but also the profoundness in that statement, because I too have done the same thing.
Right.
And I've shared transparently, man, I get calls from my mentors all the time. "Jay, you killing it, man. Man, I'm so proud of you. Oh, son, man, every time I turn around, you here, you there." And I've battled in moments, because it would be great to hear my father just pick up the phone and just be like, "Man, I'm really, really proud, man." What you like? My dad calls me, brother, and it's like, "Hey, what's the weather? What y'all weather looking like?" Like, literally. And I'm like, and I always answer the phone, and I always know how it's gonna go.
Right.
"Hey, hey, hey, hey." My dad's a pastor, and my father talks to me like another pastor. "Hey, Doc. Hey, Doc." Like, he calls me doctor now since I, finished school. Uh, but it turns into some type of like church rhetoric.
Right.
like the pastors have. Man, all right, man. How's everything? And it never goes beyond that. Like, what y'all weather looking like? I'm like, oh, it's nice. It's like 85. Oh, that's good weather. And it get quiet. All right, I'm gonna holler at you later. And that's it. But what you said is what I came to the conclusion of years ago. And I actually said this on the Breakfast Club, Charlemagne. I was like, he said, what do you do and how do you feel if your dad never comes around to just really have this relationship that you truly desire? Because I carry my father's name.
Right.
So I'm a junior, and part of me has always wanted to have this relationship with senior. But one day I got to the place where you are, and I said, man, if he never comes around, I'm okay.
Right.
Because what I realized, Archie, was that the healing and the work that I'd done wasn't for him.
Right. That's what my therapist told me. It's like you're thinking about it. You're thinking about him and his feelings. Like, how do you feel? Like, how was your feel? What was your feeling towards him not responding back to your text message? Versus saying, oh, well, he throwing it back on him. It's like, how do you feel? Like, I felt mad. You know what I'm saying? But that's to your point. Like, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah. And I think healing is also accepting what may never be.
right. Exactly.
And healing is also accepting that I have to be okay with the person that I love
Exactly.
may never give me the love that I've always desired.
Right.
Because for us as sons, there is a love that we seek from fathers that mother can't give. And I feel like this, and some may argue with me. I feel like this. A mother determines what a child remembers. A father determines what a child believes. Because with dad, there's nothing I can't do. Because if dad say, boy, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I'll run through this fireplace.
Right.
Because see, mom is going to give you, oh, come here, baby, come in. And that's great.
Right.
But it's something about when dad touches you on the shoulder and say, hey, you keep pushing.
Right.
I know you didn't make the team, but let's work hard. It's just something about that reinforcement, which makes who we are becoming
Right.
even more powerful, because to not have that and to yet be a good husband, to not have that and to yet be someone who is making a mark in this world like you are with your brand and with your message. How does that make you feel?
Because in my head, I was thinking of it because even before people asked me, like, are you going to have, I'm a third. And I was like, I'm not passing that name down.
Oh, I wouldn't.
But I changed my perspective.
Okay, I want to hear.
Because I realized is that I am changing the perspective of how things move
Okay,
forward.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And for me, it's like, because of my situation, my father, that I cannot allow that to pass down to my son or my daughter, whatever comes first. So if I have a son, that I can't make a decision based on my dad and what he did to me. I'm just passing the same perspective down.
Mm.
So for me, if I decide that I want my son to have the fourth, it's because I want it. If I decide not to, it's because I want him not to have it, not because I don't want my son to have the fourth because it's coming from his energy. Like, no, it's coming from me.
Whew. Listen, I got to sit in that because I get asked all the time, like, would you name your son a third? And the first time I'm like, hell no.
Right. Of course, that's the first thing we would say. Yeah, that's the first thing we would say, because we're tying that back.
We're tying it to our experience.
Yeah, but it's not our experience. His experience, my son's experience. If I have a son, it'd be me.
Exactly. I love it.
And I'm not that. And if I have been blessed with that, he will never have to worry about that, ever.
Now, I'm going to say this. I love the perspective, but I still don't think I'll name my son.
And I'm sure that's fine.
No. Meaning like, I don't even like the name.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even like the name. I don't even want my son to go through, go through this generation having to be called what my legal name is.
Oh, so yeah. So your legal name.
Yeah, my legal name. Now I'm a junior, so my name is JJ. That's what everybody knows me as JJ in my family. And I've cut off the J and I just go by J. I started doing that.
Mississippi name.
Yeah, it's that Mississippi name that I would not say right here. And I love, my father, but
You did talk about being vulnerable.
yes, I can't. Because for me, I have a different meaning for the name. He also have a different experience.
Exactly.
And that's what healing is about. Healing is about changing the way others experience us, but also changing how we experience those who are connected to us, and particularly in the bloodline,
Right.
and those in our family, and changing our experiences in life.
Right.
Because healing brings not only profound perspective, but it also brings a different way of hearing,
Yeah.
a different way of seeing, a different way of understanding. And you just, I mean, you helped me today because I was really stuck there, man. I was just like, man, I can't name my son that. Like, I've always wanted to name my son Joshua.
Okay.
I love the name
Good name.
Joshua. Yeah, I love the name Joshua. I love what Joshua was to Moses.
Mm.
I love what Joshua did. He was resilient. I mean, when nobody else wanted to go and take the land, he went and took it. And so I'm like, if I have a son, I want him to understand that he was born to take and
Beautiful.
to conquer.
Right.
And so that's, if I have a son, that's kind of, that was just, something that I've always wanted to do. But I want to talk about, you're a young Black man with this clothing brand. You recently got married,
Mm.
and you got married in a society where a lot of men are running from marriage. Why did you get married?
I was on a time crunch. What's funny?
Now, how old are you?
I'm 35.
35. Oh, you're a young man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still had time.
Yeah, for sure. She would say otherwise.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure all of them would say otherwise.
Otherwise, but no,
They like good brother.
I think so. My wife has been a part of both the companies, the journey of both, right? And I think that for me, I come from a woman household, half of my life. You know what I mean? So I've always seen power in women and their ability to pour into it as much as we pour into them. You know what I mean? And my wife has always been like literally right there next to me through everything for both of us, as far as our own trauma that we both have endured on whatever that looks like. You know what I mean? So for me, when that time was right, it was the right time. Like I knew that we were probably going to be married when our first date. So she like old fashioned, I like old fashioned. So I was like, oh, if we got started with old fashioned, I like old fashioned too. And she on the west side, oh, be perfect.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and also I was in a DM too, just going back and forth trying to get it. You know what I mean? So I think there's God has a way of like connecting people, and I feel like we've always just been bonding, even through our arguments and things on there. We've always stayed intact.
So I want to go back. There's a lot that you just said
Yeah.
that I want to unpack. So one, what drew you to her to DM her?
So it's a funny story.
Okay.
So actually didn't know who she was. So one of my best friends, my boy had a smoothie spot at the time. And I was just going to the smoothie spot. I was just talking and, God talk. And my boy was like, hey, bro, like, it's a shorty I saw on Instagram. I think you'll like her. He know my type. So I said, I'm definitely sliding in there. So as soon as I left, sent the message, took a little second, she'll tell the story differently because how women are.
Yeah.
But took a little second for her to, respond back to her. Then she eventually swallowed, had to kind of like, it took a second to get back in. But like I said, being consistent, being persistent.
Archie is consistent.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's like, hey, it ain't over till it's over. You feel me? So finally got the first day. And on the first day, I remember, I'm from Atlanta. So I know what Atlanta looks like. And I know normally people, when they talk about Atlanta, they talk about the West Side. It's like, oh, it's ghetto. It's like you don't want to live over there. Most people that moved to Atlanta moved to Buckhead first. She had just moved from DC down to Atlanta, stayed in Buckhead for a little bit, but bought her house in West Side. So when she told me that, I was like, oh, like you are very aware of your surroundings, and I think that's super attractive for you to know that. Because most people will say like, oh, I'm not going to the West Side. Like what? I'm not buying a house as a woman in the West Side by myself. So for me, it's like, oh, you got a little grit, little, you know what I'm saying? So for me, that also the old fashions, like most of them ain't old fashions as well. You know what I mean? So for me, that was something that,
The old fashioned drink?
yeah, it's drink.
Okay, yeah.
Old fashioned drink. So for me, it's like, oh, that's something that was aligned to me. And then from there, we just kind of stayed in contact and then, you know, travel together. We did all across the world together. So like, we love movies. We love to travel. So like that connectivity has always been a part of who we are. And you know, marriage it was always on the table. It's about the right timing and
Yeah.
what God wanted to align. So
You know what I love of how you're expressing how you guys met, and how your eyes light up to talk about your wife and to talk about your experience, because oftentimes you hear these stories like, oh, I don't want to be married, I don't, and what I'm hearing from you is that the right relationship is healing.
right.
How did your relationship with your wife now, how did it heal you in some ways?
Being patient and honestly cleaning better. You know, sometimes you know us as men we don't clean, but my wife got me a check. You know what I mean? But I think on a serious note, it's like really being patient with yourself and believing in yourself. You know, I think that my wife has given me the ability to really chase my dreams, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I literally told her when we just found out we got, you know, our bigger contract with Bloomingdale's this past Friday.
Oh,
That
hold on, brother. Hold on, brother. We got to clap to that, man.
yeah, you know,
Got to clap to that, man.
I literally sent her a text and just like, man, I'm super grateful because none of this is possible without you at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because it can be very lonely building a company second time. Wow. You know what I mean? And I've also I've struggled with my confidence too as well because I am afraid that the same thing will happen. And of course I'm a business partner, but I'm afraid that I will fail again. Even though I didn't fail, but like it's still a form of failure. Like for something where I didn't see that being the end of my first business. You know what I mean? So sometimes in my head I'm like, is this what I need to be doing? Should I be going to get a job? Like, you know, you want to be the man that's making good decisions. You know what I mean? So having this thing happen it honestly helped me truly get my confidence back in my feet because I just want to make sure that we as a family, we're building this legacy when it comes to Barnett Clay. You know what I mean? We're really changing the dynamic of our family and our family together. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, sometimes I be in my head, talking to my head, like, are you worthy of this? Honestly, we just came back from Japan on a 2-week vacation. And in my head, I'm like, do I need to be over here? Because I need to be at home working and not be on my computer for 2 weeks. That's a long time not to be working. But I had to be in a moment to understand that this is gratitude and God has given it to me for a reason and her in my life for a reason. They have to be in a moment and really appreciate this time because I mean, at the end of the day, this is all the time we have in our life.
Only time we have left. And I want to say to you, you're worthy not only of that contract, but you're worthy of more.
For sure.
You're deserving of more. And I don't know the terms and all that, but even more. And as far as you can believe, is what you will achieve.
For sure.
And let it scare the hell out of you. I think there's a part that I want to unpack in another episode. It's called healthy fear.
Mhm.
There's some elements of fear that I think that we need because it shows how much we need God, but it also shows how much we need our partners and those around us. And I think what really blesses me about this, and this is why I love, this space that I'm in now,
Right.
is to bring these conversations and to have dialogue that's going to heal people, because you're healing somebody right now who is trying to do it on their own and not do it without their partner.
Right.
And their partner is wanting to help.
Right.
And again, I have to talk Bible because that's my core. How can two walk together except they agree? And what I'm happy about for you, Archie, is that you found somebody who agrees with even the things that you hadn't yet to discover that you need an agreement with.
Right.
because you believe in yourself, but the failure, as you said, caused you to like, man, I don't know. But for her to say, you can,
Yeah. Reassurance.
man, that's beautiful, brother. You know, man, these conversations, man, yeah, I wish they gave me like an hour to do these conversations, man, because I mean, I know it's going to be helping people, helping brothers, helping sisters, man. But I have to ask you the question that I ask every guest. And every time I have to ask this question, I always pause because as I'm thinking of the question, I begin to think about how would I answer it now, because each episode is different. Each person brings a different energy. Each person has a different story of their journey. And to hear your journey about childhood, your dad, school, mom, now bring love. What does healing means to Archie?
I would say, man, healing means to me is having faith. Got said it right here. Like, I think we forget that, we can't really control our healing without the spiritual side of things. I know you just quoted scripture, and like I said, I've struggled with my faith, like, because I come from a Muslim background, grew up Muslim, and I've had my own struggles with my faith and my religion. You know what I mean? But I've also, as I grown, I realized that having faith and believing that God is right there with you, even when He may not be there with you. And through all my struggles, like, I realized He's always been there with me, and I've always been healing. I've always been healing. I've always been healing with my dad. I've always been healing with my company and with the business partner and all that. Like, I've always been healing. And once I realized that if I can have faith in Him and believe that I'm on the right track that He has me on, I'm just learning from the different situations that He's given me to continue to grow and evolve. And that's the kind of whole mantra who we are as a brand, is like, yeah, evolution starts with you. And if you can focus on yourself and truly say, hey, I believe and I have faith that everything's going to be okay. And now I understand that everything's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. As long as I'm doing the work and I'm providing resources to myself and my family. And when I say resources, spiritual, continuing to get better every single day, challenging myself, challenging us, like, we will be okay because we have faith that we're going to be okay.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful, brother. I appreciate you. And man, I'm so proud of you, man. I've been watching you.
Proud of you too, bro.
Man, for the past.
Yeah,
Man, stop it, brother. That's what happened when you start taking better care of yourself. I had to shed all that dead weight, man, because I needed to heal. And I want to say to the viewers and those that are watching, I think we forget in mental health that there's a spiritual component to it.
right.
Whatever your belief is, you have to have something that you believe in higher than yourself. You cannot heal without your spirituality. You have to. And I'm being careful as I say this because I know people believe different things, but I could not have healed without my faith and without my belief in God. And as you just heard Archie say, for him, healing is faith. What do you have faith in? Do you have faith in the process? Do you have faith in the journey that you're on? Whatever you do, whatever modality you choose, whatever apparatus you use, meaning whether some of you are listening to to calm apps, some of you are listening to podcasts, some of you are going to healing retreats, whatever the vehicle that you're using, it's going to take faith. It's going to require you to remain committed when you don't feel like it's working. Because if you in therapy, there are some sessions that's going to make you feel like, what the hell am I doing? Because it's going to bring things up out of you that you didn't know that were there. And there will be some things that you would discover that you knew that was there, but you forgot them. Or you overlooked them and pushed them to the back, and therapy is going to bring that information to the front. But whatever you do, stay committed, remain faithful to your journey. And I just want to say, continue the journey, because healing is a journey. and wholeness is the destination. And I just want to say thank you again to my brother Archie.
Oh, thank you.
Listen, this is his brand. I wanted to wear his clothing. This shirt feels amazing. Go to Bloomingdale's and support my brother. His brand is not only representative of just great fashion, but there's a message, mental health message, to feed your brain and to give your brain love. And I just wanted to say to man, I'm just, brother, I'm so happy because so I'm gonna share this really quickly. He told me when he was going to propose, and I never seen a man eyes light up when he was like, "Bro, I'm about to propose. I'm about to get married, bro." And I'm like, man, this dude is happy. I'm like, man, I don't know what she put on my good brother, but man, I'm like, but I was so happy for him. And he was like, I mean, I had never seen a brother so happy, man, to get married. And man, that blessed me, man, that you found your real, you found your wife, and you found your life partner, man.
Sure.
So I wish many blessings on you guys, a marriage, man, and continue to grow, brother, which I know you will.
Definitely.
And continue doing the good work. I'm proud of you, black man.
Proud of
I'm
you.
proud of you, brother.
Sure.
Yes, sir, man. Listen, subscribe. Don't just visit us. Subscribe. Join this healing community because we are building healers. We're building better people. We're building healthier mindset. And we're taking people not only just from surviving, but we're taking them to a place where they can thrive. Until next time, healing is a journey and wholeness is the destination. And I'm your host, Dr. J. Barnett. And this is another episode of Just Heal with Dr. J, powered by The Black Effect and iHeart Podcast Network.